Are you prepping Vinny Galanti for the Masters, Mr. Olympia?
Yeah, I'm excited, man. I've been watching Vinny on TV shows since I was like 15, 16 years old, man. So we've been friends for a long time. So yeah, I'm excited about that.
Hey, yo, bend it up. I'm so pumped up right now, baby. The Natracel Rocker Pop is back in stock, baby. 2-in-1, the best boosted pre-workout in the game. Go get yours, because I get mine. It is time for you to take your workout to the next level. Let's go, baby. Ah! Natracel, give me power!
Everybody, welcome to another awesome episode of Fak Attack, starring IFBB Pro and contest prep coach extraordinaire, all the way from New York, Fakri Mubarak. What's up, Fak?
Thank you, Ron. How you doing, man?
We just saw on Instagram today. Are you prepping Vinny Galanti for the Masters, Mr. Olympia?
Yeah, I'm excited, man. I've been watching Vinny on TV shows since I was like 15, 16 years old, man. So we've been friends for a long time. So yeah, I'm excited about that.
So, as you've coached people for the Mr. Olympia in the years past, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is nothing. Well, you've coached a million people. I don't think it's anything new for you, but still exciting because this is Vinny. I interviewed him a couple times leading up to this, and he's really been hoping and praying that they would accept him into the contest and everything. He's treating this like the show of his lifetime. So I'm excited for him because he's thrilled. So
no, it is. This is like his ultimate show of all time, man. So like, I better not fuck up, right?
So I saw he came up to Bevan Steves to train with you today. Is he going to be doing that regularly?
Yeah. So we trained yesterday. We did chest and biceps. We're gonna try to get in once a week. He's not far away. He's in Jersey, but you guys know Jersey and New York. You have to go to New York City, then go to the 5 boroughs, then come out to Long Island. So it's a little mission.
I don't think there's an easy way to get to Long Island, is there?
No, not from Jersey. So you either come through Staten Island and Verrazano Bridge, which then you hit the 5 boroughs and come through all the way through into Long Island, or through the tunnels, or through the George Washington Bridge. Yeah, it's a pain in the ass. Yeah. But it's only like maybe like 15 miles away from here, which is kind of weird. Yeah, but that's New York, right?
Well, it's rush hour. It'll probably take you 4 hours to go those 15 miles.
It will.
That's why I don't leave the house. So, all right.
That's two of us.
So, Fak, you've got some questions that have come up to you on Instagram, and I'd love to hear what people are asking you, what your responses are. So, what's number one?
Okay, so the first question is, if a client wakes up show day and is extremely flat, what would be your first move?
Good question.
Yeah, that's a good question. So of course, obviously, right? We want to avoid the client waking up flat. So let's talk about the reasons why they would get flat first. A lot of guys take diuretics, too many diuretics. Yeah. Another thing that's become, I wouldn't say it's become popular, but a lot of competitors, they take a diuretic before they go to bed. Yeah. And what happens is, you could look fine, and if you sleep, 6, 7, 8 hours, because competitors don't sleep the night before the show, they're gonna wake up flat as hell. And if you only have like one meal to carb up, you can't really do it, right? Yeah. There's different levels of carbon up. Most competitors. Well, let's talk about the higher level competitors. Some use insulin to carb up, so it's a little easier to carb up when you're using insulin if you're really depleting the body, the night before. Because if you could get up, I try to get my clients up anywhere between 4:30 and 5 o'clock in the morning. 2 days before the show started. Instead of the show Saturday, I'll get them up on Friday at that time to do a run, and then on Saturday, of course, the show. But if somebody wakes up extremely flat, you're kind of fucked. What they do is usually go out and have like pancakes, eggs, bacon, try to fill yourself up. But once somebody gets that depleted, it's really, really, really tough.
Let me ask why. The thing that I'm curious about, and you've run into this 1,000 times, I'm sure, is somebody's flat like that and you want to carb them up. Yeah. Do you allow them to have fluids, water, or you still keep them dehydrated?
Yeah, so that's the whole thing, right? So we need water to shuttle the nutrients, right? And then muscles are made out of water and protein. So when people talk about drying out, they'll cut the water too early, or they'll start taking too many diuretics or stronger diuretics. So it's not about just cutting water and feeding the body as much food. Everybody's a little different. From my experience, what I do is I try to get to the point that Friday night, let's do the show Saturday. So the night before the show, I get to the point of where we're almost spilling. Right? So with me, the way I do my prep is like the last 2 weeks, my metabolisms are usually flying. Like I have Corinne Gonzalez doing Pittsburgh, and she's probably eating the amount of food of a middleweight. She's a bikini competitor, So every single morning she's texting me her weight, and it's like it's going down because the metabolism is flying right now. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Sunday morning we're talking about burgers at 4:30 in the morning. So I mean, to fill somebody up, it's again, I'm also not one to use a lot of junk food. I don't believe junk food has any positive of a good amount of food. So I would do start them off probably with steak, potatoes, steak, yams. Red meat is a good way of filling up a physique. But try not to flatten out. If you flatten out, man, it's usually because you're taking too much diuretics. And even if you put in the water, you're not gonna fill up. So the whole thing is not to flatten out before the show.
Here's the thing: a lot of guys, girls, guys, they always think they look flat at judging. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. Then they all go out and have what's the magic thing they all eat after judging? Burger and fries.
Burger and fries.
Everybody,
yeah.
And that's like the magic food.
Yeah.
And they all think they look better at the night show. Do they really look better? And if so, why don't they just have a burger and fries before judging?
Right. So that's a great question, right? Or the day after, right? They send you pictures. I look phenomenal. You do, but you're not looking at the water you're holding in your glutes. You're not looking at the water you're holding in your hamstrings. So yeah, everything else is popping, right? You're a lot more vascular, but where the insertions are that separate the competitor's conditioning is usually the glutes, the hamstrings. It's not vascularity, because vascularity, we could do a lot of stuff to bring out vascularity. Is where you're holding water. So yeah, that's a good one. At night show I look better, or the day after I look better, and it's usually not the case. I have to actually draw circles. Well, this is where you're holding water, and you're holding water here.
Because we've all been in that spot where after the day after the show, you've eaten everything in the kitchen sink. You're standing 3 feet away from a mirror, and you're like, "Oh, look at all the veins. I should have looked like this yesterday." But yeah, like you said, Dorian. I say this all the time because Dorian Yates said he won every Olympia flat, and he always went on the side of being a little flat for that crazy condition, grainy look, rather than spill over. Because I just went to the Cutler show in Boston a few days ago, and there's people that were full, but they were either spilled over or they just weren't lean enough, and it's not as impressive to me. Like I didn't see more than a couple people who I thought were really in shape. And, it's people have the whole thing. I think people are so obsessed now with being full. Like I gotta be full.
Yeah.
And it's a condition killer, because a lot of times you have to make that choice. And as a coach, you have to make that choice with them. Are we going to go for a fuller look and sacrifice being dry and grainy and hard as nails just to be more popping, more round and full? Yeah. I mean, what do you do? That's a tough call.
Yeah, I mean, you always get, I'm flattening out, coach, and then the other one is I'm losing my legs, those are the two major ones. I asked them, like, how's your strength? Have you lost strength? Well, not really. So that means you're not burning muscle, right? So that means, if you're flat, you just, you have to come down in weight. You have to, when the body fat comes down, you look a little flat. But if you're not burning, if you're not losing much strength, like myself, I would never lose more than 15% of my strength, maybe 20, and I gauge that with my clients as well. So if we're not losing strength, we're doing well. The flat and losing the leg part is usually, the psychological thing. I'll even have them measure the legs, like to measure your legs, but it's still 28 and a half. I'm like, well, they haven't gone down. That's just your imagination, Or people saying you're doing too much cardio is going to bring down your legs. Yeah. Guys, real quick, when you're doing a show, you're taking more PEDs during the show than you are in your off season or even the beginning of your show or beginning of your prep. Yeah. So all those PEDs, it's impossible to lose weight unless you're doing some crazy stuff like taking in a high amount of T3, a high amount of clan, or what people think is cutting up is doing higher reps. So if you're eating less food, you're doing more cardio, what happens to your muscle? it breaks down. So that's the reason why you still have to keep lifting heavy too, because that, you know, staying heavy keeps your muscles full.
Yeah, because you'll hear all the time the step mill burns off, takes my legs away. I lose my legs if I use the step mill. A lot of people have that idea in their heads. But,
Yeah, but I mean, can you do cardio on your hands? You know, you can,
I
right?
mean, I've seen those things, the bikes where you go like that, but yeah,
right.
that's you got a broken leg or
The
something.
step mill is like doing the bike or doing the treadmill, right? I mean, you're still using your legs, so wouldn't you lose your legs in either one of those or all those cardio activities?
I think it's because it's the hardest piece of cardio equipment, and people, I hate it. I hate using it, you know, but I know when I competed, I know I had to. It was the only thing that was hard enough to get the glutes and the hams where they needed to be. And I hated every minute I was on that thing, but I didn't, you know, I'd be like, 10 more minutes, 9 more minutes, but I did it anyway. Yeah.
I have a treadmill cardio program that I have my clients on. You know, I'll adjust it with the hour, with the days per week, and the minutes and the levels. But it's high intensity, so it'll start off at a certain level for like 5 minutes, and it'll go to 1 to 3, and then the next level 2, and the next level 1. But that 1 minute is like really high intensity, and then you're going back down, and then you're going back up. So that kind of helps because it breaks it down and it's faster. The heart rate gets higher, so you're burning off more calories in a shorter amount of time.
Yeah. All right. Next question, Fak. What do we got?
All right. So the next question is. Sorry, guys. I asked all these questions last week. Okay. So the next question is. Myostatin prevents us from building muscles. The question is, why don't we use myostatin inhibitors?
I'm guessing because they don't exist yet, right?
That's one.
Yeah.
So,
if they did, we'd use them.
Yeah. And, you know, they see these cows and now these dogs, these big cattle, and, you know, in China's experiment, you know, I love dogs, so I hate seeing this. You know, dogs with, you know, infusing them with some type of inhibitor. The biggest problem is, remember, guys, your muscles grow. Your ligaments and tendons don't, right? They'll get stronger to hold the muscle. So if we had a myostatin inhibitor and we gave it to a human being, you would literally, your ligaments would literally tear just by walking, right? Because they will get bigger than they're supposed to, which is the reason why a lot of injuries happen with the ligaments and tendons, because the muscles grow longer or bigger and longer. And when you stretch them out, doing like a preacher curl or bench press, you know, with the bicep being bent a little bit or going lower than you're supposed to. So a myostatin gland would be horrible. A myostatin inhibitor would be horrible for human beings because you would just tear muscles as walking down the street.
Yeah. I mean, you've seen those cows. I don't, you know, those Belgian blue cows that they show all the time. I don't know if those things can even walk. They don't look like they can move.
No, they don't.
They're like a big blob.
They wouldn't be able to because, like I said, the muscles will tear straight from the ligaments and tendons.
Yeah. I have heard, I don't know if this is true, that there's been studies done that some people, I think it's mostly people from like West Africa, they have a naturally low myostatin and follistatin levels, which a lot of them, that explains why a lot of them can build a lot more muscle mass than people from other parts of the world. I don't know if there's any truth to that, but that would be interesting.
It's possible. I mean, you see people that are taller, right? They have higher IGF-1 levels.
Yeah.
You know, or they have a blockage of some type of tumor in the pituitary gland that releases more, you know, IGF-1 levels than a normal human being, which is usually the case when you see these type of giants. They usually have a tumor on the pituitary gland.
I just watched a cool video on YouTube of like the top 10 most famous giants of all time, and Robert Wadlow, who died of the poor guy, he was only 23 or 24 when he died.
Yeah.
It was an infection from his leg braces that got I thought it was something else from the tumor or whatever.
The tallest guy ever?
Yeah, he was 8'11" and 3/4. So he was that close to 9 foot. But
in Manhattan, they have the Guinness Book of World Records Museum.
Yeah, he's there. They have
he's there, and I have a picture standing next to him.
That's insane. Oh man. All right, ready for your next question, Fak. What do we got?
All right, so drying out a client 2 weeks or 1 week out, which is better? And if so, which is your favorite way to do so? So there's not really a way how I dry out a client. Everybody's different, and even then, I could work with one person and do 10 shows, and each show's gonna be different, right? But usually I try to maintain as much mass as possible all the way until the last week. So let's talk about like the last 7 days. I'll take out the test sometimes. Most of the times I'll take out the test. The GH comes out either Saturday or Sunday. I'm giving a lot of secrets away, man.
Yeah, for free.
For free too. We're gonna start a GoFund for questions.
Go fund me.
Yeah, GoFundMe. So so that's what I do, and then the water, I usually start dabbling with the water on Wednesday or Thursday, because we still have a day. It depends on the show. Like 2 days before, I'll start dabbling with the water. Maybe it goes down, maybe it doesn't go down. Myself, I know I had to reduce my water. I would start reducing my water on Wednesday. So let's say the show was Saturday.
Yeah.
I would go from 2 gallons to 1.5 gallons on Wednesday, 1.25 gallons on Thursday, and then Friday I would only drink what I needed to drink with my meal. So that was probably 10 to 15 ounces. By Friday evening, I would evaluate myself, and if my body was flattening out too much, see that's where the eye and the knowledge comes in, right? So people who think their body's gonna flatten out, they'll keep the water out because they think water builds water under the skin. So again, your muscles are made out of water, so your muscles need water to pop. So I would evaluate Friday night, and then usually Saturday I wouldn't drink. After prejudging, I wouldn't drink. I have like a diet soda or something like that. But I don't, as far as drying out, it's usually like the last 3 or 4 days that we do the drying out process. You can't do it too early, man, because you're taking stuff out. You're still dieting, your metabolism is flying. So some people once some people hit rock bottom, it's very hard to resuscitate them.
In the initial question when they said 2 weeks, and we did see, a couple of years ago we had some women, unfortunately, were pros and everything. We had a couple deaths from diuretics, and the protocols got leaked. The texts, whatever, the emails, I don't know. Somehow they got leaked. Yeah. The coach was getting on blasted like mercilessly. But you did see that he had some women. I'm sure he's not the only coach who does that. They were taking like aldactone at 2 weeks out. I don't understand. What is the logic for someone to be taking any kind of diuretic, even if it's a milder one, 14 days away from a contest?
So here's, I know what coach is specifically talking about. I worked with him, actually. He was one of my clients as well. In his defense, aldactone is given for acne as well. So, because aldactone blocks the androgen gland, right? Therefore, it stops releasing the oil and stops acne. So aldactone is given to acne patients, slows down acne and can stop acne. So it's given to acne patients, and the prescription for aldactone is 200 milligrams per day, 150 milligrams per day, and we're talking about months, like a month, 2 months, 3 months. That in itself wouldn't cause death because aldactone blocks aldosterone for the diuretic purpose of the drug. So when you block aldosterone, your body's releasing the water and sodium. It's not holding on to it. What could cause the death in that scenario, as far as blocking aldosterone, is not putting in enough water and not putting in enough sodium back into your body. That's possible. The amount of aldactone that he was using wouldn't kill most people because, again, my wife has acne. She had acne. Acne runs in my family. My brothers and sisters, myself speaking. I never took aldactone for acne. So I've seen 100, 150, 200 milligrams prescribed daily for months at a time. And it could also be the fact that he used the aldactone, or the person who used the aldactone wasn't having their clients have the sodium, and then he shocked the body with a Bumix or a Lasix, which is even worse, because then that pulls out everything.
Right. Because I'm ignorant. That's why we have you here. So if even if somebody is retaining a ton of water, I think in most scenarios they're not lean enough and they confuse that with water. But let's just give them the benefit of the doubt, saying they did get rid of all the body fat they're supposed to, but they're holding a ton of water. I can't imagine a scenario where it would take more than like 48 hours of diuretic use to flush all that water out, because we only have so much water in our bodies. I imagine you could piss it all out in a day if you really had to.
Yeah. Also, what happens is during so people want to force the water to be out. I tell my clients, listen, we got 48 hours. Let the body do what it has to do, right? So if we're already drying out by increasing the water, let's say we start increasing the water Sunday, Monday to 2 gallons, for guys. Some girls could drink that much, and then we'll load up on water, and then we'll increase the water. So the body's thinking, well, I'm carrying 2 gallons of water, for 2 or 3 days. So now I'll drop it down to 1.5 gallons. Now I'll drop it down to 1 gallon. Now I'll drop it down to 3/4 of a gallon. The body's already drying out, because it is drying out, right? It's going from 2 gallons down to 3/4 of a gallon. So sometimes, what happens is let nature do what it has to do, right? Your body's going to dry out, just by doing what we're continually doing. So, you don't need diuretics. Not everybody takes diuretics. Not even guys in the Olympia stage. Not everybody takes diuretics. Diuretics is used just to pull out the water, but you're right. Water and fat is confused. And to dry out, it shouldn't take more than 48 hours or 3 days. I mean, 72 hours max.
Back when I was competing in natural shows, 1,000 years ago, one thing that I did, and I think I got it from Skip LaCour, was this water loading, where you would load the water up until the very night before. You'd be drinking like 3 gallons of water, and then you just stop. And the theory was, so say you stop drinking at like 9 or 10 o'clock on a Friday night, when you think you're going to be on stage at like 11 the next morning or 12 or something. That the theory was, if you trick the body, it's getting all this water, and then it's going to keep pissing. And by the time you get to the stage the next day, theoretically, all that subcutaneous, all the water should be gone. But, I don't know if that really worked.
Yeah, because you're tricking the body to believe it's holding a bunch of water, and then you're stopping it, so the water starts dehydrating, and the body starts dehydrating itself. Also, it has to do with how much you weigh. So a person who competed, let's say 2 years ago at 176 pounds at the middleweight, his water depletion is not going to be the same as a light heavyweight, and a light heavyweight who was 196, 197, 198, who's now a super heavyweight, 235. His body's not gonna, it's not gonna work with the same depletion either, because the body's bigger, it's holding more water, and there's more muscles, so the muscles are fuller with more water, not subcutaneous water, but it's cellular water.
Maybe generally speaking, you see the huge open guys. I don't know if they're just trying to come in fuller, but it seems to me like they tend to retain a lot more water on stage than the 212 guys or the classic guys who have a lot. 212 guys, I shouldn't say they have less muscle mass, but let's say classic or something, or men's physique. You don't see them spilled over looking very often, but you often see these 250, 270, 290 pound guys looking like water buffaloes up there.
Yeah, it has to do with overcarbing, right? Because carbs hold on to water. So if you're drinking some type of water, the glycogen, the carbs hold on to water. So when you're drinking a little bit of water with that much food, and as we mentioned earlier on the podcast, a lot of the guys are carbing up with insulin too. So you're pushing as much glycogen, as much carbs into the muscles, into the body, and then whatever amount of water. But even if you overspill with food, you're gonna look watery, because the muscle's not gonna be as attached. The skin is not gonna be as attached, saran wrapped attached to the muscle itself. So you're gonna have some type of space, right? And that could create water, and then sweating and a bunch of other stuff.
Well, it's sort of related, but not really. But another thing, it just struck me, because they were talking about on MD Muscle Talk last week about carbing up and everything, because we're talking about carbing up. A lot of people, they believe you can't carb up fully or thoroughly or 100% on like the clean carbs, the potatoes, the sweet potatoes, the rice, the oats. They feel like you have to carb up on jelly and frickin' pancakes and I don't know what, junk, like fast acting carbs. Does the body, for me, when I tried that, my stomach was like doing flip-flops. I felt like I couldn't even stand up straight. It was cramping up. Do you have clients carb up on the same diet foods they've been eating, or do you start giving a bunch of other new stuff?
No, first of all, you're not going to give your body something foreign that hasn't eaten for months, and then on top of that, there is actually no benefit whatsoever in eating saturated fats, sugar, simple sugars. Simple sugars, yeah, you know, there's I've used it as well. You know, there's a little technique out there with apple pie filling. But that includes insulin as well.
It's
You know,
Chad's
so simple
thing.
sugars. Chad, yeah,
Chad was famous for pie filling. Yeah.
Yeah. Chad. I think I got it from Chad actually.
Yeah.
But as far as like bad food, saturated fats, and pancakes and white flour and all that stuff, you don't need that. I mean, why don't you have white potatoes? Why don't you have white rice? You could throw in some jelly. You could throw in some good fats. I mean, good fats have a little bit of saturated fats, but don't go having fried food and shit like that. It doesn't even make sense.
You just want to blow the diet early. Let's be real.
Yeah, I mean, you can't hold on for like a couple of more hours.
Seriously, I'd be like, that's what I tell people. I say, well, because I don't coach much anymore because I don't have any patience like you do. People just drive me. They drive me insane. They're like, can I eat this? Can I eat that? I said, I'll tell you what. You're going to be all done by about 10 o'clock tonight. Then you can eat whatever the F you want. I don't care. But until then, you're going to stick to the diet foods. You're not going to eat all this shit that you're talking about. No.
I don't understand the cupcakes behind stage, the Reese's Pieces behind stage. I don't understand none of that stuff, man. But I have rice cakes with a little peanut butter and jelly, which is what I do, right? So like I'll always have 2 meals before prejudging. Most prejudges are in the morning, and then I have like after the second meal, it will be like a rice cake with some peanut butter or jelly, depending on how they look, like every half hour, and that's how I keep them full.
Yeah, and I mean now you got to backtrack and say why you were giving peanut butter and jelly because you just said you weren't going to give them stuff that they haven't been eating. So why?
Well, so peanut butter. I mean, so in my diets, I do have cashews, I do have almonds, I do have macadamia nuts. So any type of natural peanut, any type of natural nut butter, can be used. Jelly is a simple sugar. It helps bring out the vascularity. But you're having like a tablespoon or 2 tablespoons of jelly. You're not having jelly 5 times a day with 5 meals during the actual prep. So when I mean nut butter or peanut butter, I'm talking about the cleanest natural peanut butter. I'm not talking about Skippies with chocolate chips in there.
Do you see those memes where they say, Coach said I could have a tablespoon of peanut butter and it's like a spoon this big? It's like a giant shovel.
That's the problem with peanut butter, man.
Well, it's so good.
So believe it or not, like psychologically, you have to be aware of how the person is. As a coach, I have 2 psychology master degrees, right? So it's helped me like work with people.
Perfect.
So I know for a fact, okay, do I write 1 tablespoon of any nut butter, or do I tell them 1 ounce of almonds or cashews? Because 1 ounce is going to be the actual pieces. If I tell them 1 tablespoon, they might do 1 tablespoon and a half or 2 tablespoons. Yeah, and after 3 decades of coaching, I've heard, Coach, I'm so sorry, I ate half the jar last night. I'm like, how do you eat half the jar?
Well, it's not hard. I mean, that's like, it's kind of like it's like a running joke for years. That like, and I mean, bodybuilders cheat on their diets too. So I shouldn't pick on the women, but women are notorious because they'll admit to it. Yeah, I had 3 in the morning. I woke up and I ate like a half a jar of peanut butter because I was starving. But
yeah, women are really big on peanut butter. That's for sure.
They love the peanut. Well, peanut butter is delicious. Who can you say?
Guys are more like cheap meals and like pizza and
pizza. Oh, pizza's so good.
Yeah, we're not doing it, prep, man. You want to win the show, man.
Yeah, I mean, I can say the times I've blown my diet on pizza where it never had a good result. The pizza, it's like a bomb of calories and saturated fat and grease. It's the worst thing you can have during prep, I think.
And then bad food, like you mentioned earlier, bad food also upsets your stomach, and when your stomach gets upset, you have a tendency of holding water as well. It's like it's like taking aspirin for like headaches or like ibuprofen is the worst thing to take. If you have a headache or something before a show, it's an anti-inflammatory. Don't take an ibuprofen. Take a Tylenol. If you have to. I'm like, people ask me all the time, like, when they don't feel well, I'm like, can you hold off? Maybe you have to eat something more. Maybe you have to eat a little bit more food. But just be smart about what you put into your body.
Yeah, number one thing that people go to emergency rooms for over-the-counter drugs is Tylenol.
Yeah.
Yeah, it fries people's livers. People go into liver. You can go into liver failure within a couple of weeks if you're popping Tylenol like candy.
And ibuprofen is kidneys. Ibuprofen hits the kidneys even worse. Yeah, so it's like the best of 2 evils, right? Or the worst of 2 evils.
You're better off being in pain, I guess.
Don't take oxys either.
No. That's a bad road to go down. We got one more fact?
Yeah, got one more. Okay. Leg. So the next question is: legs don't get the definition like the rest of the physique before getting on stage. All right, so there's two things with this. One thing is leg development, just like any other body should be developed. We've heard guys say, you know, or skinnier guys say, you know, I just want to get cut up. Well, if you don't have no muscle, you can't get cut up, right? It's impossible. What are you going to cut up? Some guys are naturally cut up, like they have an athletic build. Like I was, you know, when I was younger, I had an athletic build, but I played a lot of sports. So for me to put on muscle, it was just a matter of eating more and lifting more weights. Leg development has to do a lot with leg definition has to do a lot with leg development. You cannot wrap that skin around a muscle that's not there. So if your muscles aren't popping, the fibers aren't popping, you know, the striations of the muscles are not popping, you know, there's nothing to wrap the skin around. Yeah. So it's development. So is chest, so is back. I have, you know, another question aside from this that I get is you know, my back is not striated, or I'm holding some fat in my back. Well, you've never deadlifted. You don't work your back as hard. You know, so whatever muscles you're working, the muscles are gonna pop more, and it's, you know, as you diet, the skin is gonna wrap around. I call it saran wrap. So the skin is gonna wrap around the skin is gonna wrap around the muscles like saran wrap. Everything's gonna pop and become more 3D. So anything with definition, abs are the same thing. People tend to overwork the abs. So by overworking the abs, just like you overtrain any other muscle, it's going to do the opposite, right? It's going to grow, but it's going to atrophy because you're overworking it too much. But a lot of the definition has to do with the development of the muscle itself. You see smaller guys, right?
Yeah.
You see smaller guys that get bigger, and the definition pops even more because the muscles have developed more.
Well, before you go on with that, I want to explain leg separation is something a lot of guys they don't have, because the more leg development you have, the cuts between the different, you know, there's 4 heads to the quads. We only see 3 on the outside, but the cuts are going to be deep if you have. Right. So here's the bone, and if the muscle only comes out, you know, a 1/4 inch from the bone, you don't have much muscle to separate. But if it's the thicker you build that muscle, the more space you'll have in between the muscle groups, the heads of the muscles. Now you can. It's like I see guys with no chest doing cable crossers. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you? Oh, I'm striating. I said, you need some thickness. There's nothing. It's flat. If you had a thick chest, there'd be something to striate. But right. Yeah, so legs. That's the first thing. Leg development. You have to have some beef on the legs. Mm-hmm. So what next?
Another thing with you know, we're talking about lower body. We're talking about hamstrings. You know, my hamstrings are not popping. So hamstrings are a fiber, right? That's what hamstrings are made out of. The muscles look like a bunch of fibers. But people think, you know, it's just you know, doing lunges or just doing basic work for hamstrings, because we want to make, you know, we want the skin to wrap around the hamstring. But in reality, what your hamstring is, it's like a bicep muscle. It's the same movement. It's an actual muscle that pops. Right. You know, so you have to work that muscle again to make it pop. When you do a side chest or a side tricep, and your hamstrings are not dropping, or that line that separates the hamstring and the quad is not there, you know, you have to pop out. You have to make that hamstring drop a little bit more. By what? By building it more. Glutes are a big thing. Like a lot of people don't have glutes, and the reason why they don't have glutes is because your ass is flat. You know, you need to work on your glute muscle, because again, every single muscle is about development of the muscle. You can't. You know, you could be shredded all over and not have glutes and hamstrings because you're not developed. You know, how many guys do we see on stage that have great upper bodies but no legs? You know, so it's just an overall development of the muscle in order to pop more. Bodybuilding is from head to toe. It's every single body part has to be perfect, and it has to be worked. Even if you have a strong body part or a weak body part, you know, people say, well, I need to what should I concentrate more? I'm like, on everything. No, but coach, what I need to concentrate more on everything. No, but coach, I'm like, listen, bro. Or listen, champ. I call like a lot of people champ. I'm like, have you won the Olympia yet? No. So you need to concentrate on your whole entire body. Well, what's my weakness? Your whole entire body, right? Because if I'm telling you to work on your legs more, that means are you working on your chest and on your arms less? You know, you have to work on every body part hard.
Oh, yeah, but it also, I think it's a case with a lot of people. I used to find, especially my upper body would be like contest ready, and I would need another 4 to 6 weeks after that for my lower body to be that lean. My upper body would come in very quickly, certain areas especially, but then legs were like the last thing, and hams and glutes were the very last thing. I could be shredded. The quads, the hams, the lower part of the hams, it would take another like 5 pounds. I would have to drop another 5, 6, 7 pounds to get those glutes in. And a lot of people don't want to go that far because it's, now you're getting the death face and now you're getting really hungry and really tired. But that's what it takes for a lot of people.
Sacrifice. I mean, if you're yeah, I mean, some people hold water. Like I held equal water all over, right? I didn't have a watery back. I didn't have watery glutes. So I came in all at the same time. So I knew pretty much when I was coming in because, and I was lucky because I think my back held the least amount of water, So when I came in, everything came in together. But it's normal, Ron. I mean, most people hold water in their lower back and their glutes and their hamstrings. That's usually the last thing that comes in anyway, And that's where the sacrifice comes in. That's the hard part.
Well, another thing that I didn't use until like the very end of my career was aromatase inhibitors during prep. In the very end of prep, the last like 4 weeks, I would do Aromatase or something, and that's when I did see a marked increase in the definition of my legs, especially from the back, the hams and the glutes. They came in a lot drier and tighter than they ever did before. Is that an issue? Is higher estrogen going to keep a lot of guys from really getting that shredded lower body?
100%. So we're taking PEDs that convert to they're aromatized over to estrogen tests. Even the pills that a lot of the PEDs that we're taking are aromatized into estrogen, and some of them are aromatized into to prolactin and progesterone. So you have to be aware of what you're taking. Arimidex, Aromasin, or letrozole, one of the three is always in my clients' protocols. Depending on I like Arimidex, but Arimidex lowers good cholesterol, HDLs. Yeah. So I tend to use more Aromasin now. But yeah, I mean, Aromasin is Aromasin, letrozole, or Arimidex is always in there. Contest prep wise. And then I also use Proviron. Proviron's also a hardener. It has anti-estrogen properties. Masterone has anti-estrogen properties too because they're very highly they're high androgenic but also high anabolic. High androgenic and also high anabolic on the table of 1 to 100. So yeah, anti-estrogens are huge. I mean, because if you really look at it, where do females hold most of their weight?
Butt, hips, thighs.
Yeah, and that's the hardest thing for most people to take off. So, if you're saying, well, that's a female and I'm a male. Yeah, but you're converting a lot of hormones into estrogen. So not that you're becoming a female, but you're having the same issues females have. The same thing with with the female hormones, prolactin and progesterone. So, there's Cavalin, Desonex, the different things you use to block those type of hormones. But anti-estrogens, I always use. Always.
Yeah. I mean, if you're a man and you're using a good amount of gear, you have more estrogen in you right now than a regular woman does, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen estrogen numbers up to 3,000, man.
3,000. Wow.
I've seen 3,000 on guys.
I hit like 250 at my high, and I thought I was going to turn into a Caitlyn Jenner. But
I see 3,000, man.
Caitlyn, yeah, because estrogen. Even when women are on gear, I still see a lot of times their upper bodies are in shape and tight. Right. And then sometimes they even have like their butts are like jiggly and cellulite and thighs is like two different bodies. And that's got to be from the estrogen.
100%. I mean, that's why females have a higher body fat than men because of the hormones, right? Men have a little bit of estrogen in us, and females have a little bit of testosterone in them. But the balance of each one is where women become more muscular because they start taking PEDs that have higher testosterone level in there, or are made. Most of these are made from what? DHT, which is a primary male hormone. And then guys, they'll get softer during the prep because they're not doing an anti-estrogen, or a lot of guys, even until it's 2023 and people still taking Novadex as an anti-estrogen. I mean. Yeah. So again, this is like for the 10,000th time. Novadex blocks. So Novadex was the first type of therapy for breast cancer. It was developed to help side effects of higher estrogen levels. to help with females with breast cancer. Aromatase is the next generation. Then came letrozole, and then came Aromatase. Novadex does not block the conversion. It doesn't. It blocks the side effects, but it doesn't. It blocks side effects to a point, but it doesn't block the conversion. The axis of where testosterone converts over to estrogen, and that's Aromatase was the first generation drug that actually did that.
So it's why do bodybuilders even, is there any legitimate reason for bodybuilders to use Novadex in 2023?
Not as far as like physique wise, no. But Novadex tends to work. Novadex does tend to work better during PCT and even during HRT, because you want your hormones to function. You want all your hormones to function correctly while you're in PCT, HRT, TRT. They prescribe it. So they're not going to prescribe Aromatase, letrozole, or Aromatase, because that's going to block the complete conversion of estrogen. And again, we need a little bit of estrogen in our bodies. Gotcha. You know, again, you know, during a contest prep, yeah, you could kill all the estrogen you want, but that's also not healthy either as well.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I think we talked about it, right? Dr. Thomas said it.
Yeah, I'm talking to Thomas tomorrow on his show, but yeah, there's nothing healthy about that look, guys. I mean, let's not pretend there is. That look that we want to see on stage, that dried out 2% body fat, skeletor face, every little fiber of the muscle. It's not a health. It's not about health, guys. It's about achieving a superhuman look, an extreme look for a very, very brief window of time, as safely as possible without risking your health too much. And then, you know, you go back and drink your fluids and eat normal food again, and hopefully you're okay. So
also, what happens is, you know, when we get ready for a show, we get so lean that there's, you know, our organs are protected by fat tissues. Those fat tissues are also, you know, minimalized, you know, when we're dieting. So you're burning overall fat, not just sub-Q fat, but, you know, your inner body is also burning the fat that separates, you know, and protects your organs.
So it's called visceral fat. Visceral.
Yeah. Well, visceral fat could also, you know, be detrimental, because some people have too much of it, and it's hard for them to burn it. You know, especially like especially like in the stomach area with this rectus sensus. Yeah, 100%. Dorian once said, and I experienced this too. So Dorian once said that he used to get so lean that the bottom of his feet would start hurting. Yeah. Right. So I read that, and I'm like, yeah, you know, I read it, and I kept it in the back of my mind. And I remember 2003 at Nationals, I came out of my hotel room and I started walking. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with my feet? You know, so I looked at my feet, I sat down, and then one of my friends who I had told that story to like 10 years earlier, he goes, didn't Dorian say that? I'm like, I'm ripped, you know.
When the bottom of your feet are ripped, I mean, you wouldn't even think there's fat in the bottom of your feet, right?
But there's fat everywhere. That's what I'm saying. So,
everywhere,
you know, when you talk about being healthy and not having body fat at all, that's you can't maintain that look health wise. It's just not healthy.
Oh, and if you believe Cosmo, being obese is healthy. So where are we?
Yeah.
Anyway, it's another show. That's another show. But next time, let's talk training, because you've had some good posts lately about training. I want to get into that next time with you, because we talk about PEDs and stuff a lot, but training is something I think everybody out there can benefit, because all this drying out talk, people like, some people, they don't give a shit. It's going to be perma bulkers or whatever. So, but yeah, you're a wealth of knowledge in many, many areas. I'm trying to tap into them all one at a time, Fak.
Thank you. Right. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, man, hit up Ron or hit up myself on Instagram.
Yeah, leave them right here. We have comments under the videos, guys. That's what we're here for. So put them in there. You're really nice. Maybe Fak will look at the YouTube video and acknowledge you, and we'll answer them on air, and it'll be a good time for everybody. But yeah,
I answer everybody, man. So if people email me, and that's one thing about me, like if you email me or if if you send me messages on social media, Instagram and Facebook, I answer everybody. I never, I think it's so unpolite and unethical not to answer people. I do it all the time.
Well, God bless you. Unless they're you get the ones where it's just someone saying hi. I'm like, no, dude, no hi.
Oh my God, I get so many of those. You get those too?
Of course. And I'm like,
oh my God.
People are lonely. They're bored. They're looking for like pen pals. No, I'm not your pen pal. I'm sorry. I got shit to do. And I hate being rude, but I'm not going to. If somebody has a legitimate question, a concern, a problem, I try to answer those people. But the ones that they just want to like, hi, how are you? No.
Yeah, I'm like, how can I help you? That's I always say that. How can I help you? And then they start asking me well, how you doing? I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
You know?
A lot of
And
times
if
they'll
you're
be like,
rude, I'll block you. No.
yeah, well, they get rude very quickly usually when you do that. I say, can I help you? I say, can I help you? And I guess, there's no tone in a text, so they think I'm like,
Yeah.
you asshole, what do you want? What do you want? But I am asking what you want because time is precious. That's the one thing you never get back is time. So
Yeah.
guys, think about it. Anyway, it's been another great episode, Fak.
Thank you, Ron.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Fakri Mubarak. You're the best OG I know around here.
You're the best, Ron. Thank you very much, man.
I'm very happy you're working with Vinny Galanti. I'm rooting for Vinny. He's like the underdog of this Olympia. But
yes.
He's
50. Gonna be. Let me tell you something about Vinny. Yeah. He's gonna be bigger than he ever has on stage.
Yes. And
he's gonna be in the same type of condition and the better. But we're gonna be around 204 pounds for the show.
Oh, and he's 57.
He's 54, 56. I think it's one of them.
He's old. I'm 54 this year. I know he's older than me, but it's not by much.
56. Might be
56.
56.
He's not that much older than me. Maybe a year.
And his highest weight on stage ever was 194. So I said we're gonna break that.
10 pounds more. Well, he's gonna need it, man. That's gonna be a tough show. So it's the Olympia. Yeah. Cool. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it on your social media, hit the notification bell. And again, if you have topics you want us to cover on the next Fak Attack, questions, put them right there in the comments. We love your feedback, guys. Thanks for watching this episode of Fak Attack with Fakri Mubarak. We'll see you next time.
Brought to you by Musclements. Musclements is the creator of Carnivore Pure Beef Protein Isolate. Beef builds muscle, and Carnivore is the world's #1 selling beef protein.
Hey, did you like that video? Smash that like button, subscribe to MD, and please comment down below. Thanks for watching.